Welcome back to Bite Size Talks. My name is Gary, aka Hempy. Today we'll be talking about the Massacre of Ramree Island. Uh, with us today is Julian, and apparently Atlas who just walked in behind us. So,
Welcome back, everybody. This is Julian. That's my dog, Atlas. And joining us today
Hey everyone, Leona here, ready for a new episode.
all right, so I thought it'd be fun to look at this clip real quick. This is from the Australian Open from this past year. All the players are mic'd up, and I think it leads to some interesting audio.
Oh boy, is this what I think it's gonna be like? Yep. Ah, ah.
Seen the doll? He just walked off. So I had seen a clip of that, and it made me kind of crack up. So I thought it was something we could,
Someone has a sense of humor.
uh, well,
I
I
remember.
mean, I think that's just one of those things with tennis, right? Like the way the women, uh, I don't want to say moan when they hit the ball. What would you say?
Grunt.
Yeah.
It sounds like moaning, but it's
Literally.
actually grunting. That reminds me of I was watching uh so my boyfriend was watching something in the other room and I didn't see what it was, but all I heard was and then I was like, what the heck? So I walk in and he's watching like this 8-year-old play ping pong.
I don't know what's worse.
That could have gone south real bad.
Yeah, real quick. Real quick.
Uh,
I'm like, he wouldn't just be playing that like super loud.
Have you guys ever gotten those reels where it's like, oh, this is the sound of like a random animal, and it's just a moan from like a porn video or something? You guys never seen those?
No.
I've seen one where like uh the wife will prank her husband like, okay, like I want you to do, like, I'm doing this TikTok, and it's like I want you to like make like a big like it's gonna play the sound of a lion like roaring, so like I want you to right, like how would you like act that out and like over the voice, and then it's like, can I get it? Oh yeah, right. Like, the guy's like, yo, and it's always like the dude is like a little too serious.
Oh god. So what's the story
All
today,
right.
Broadway?
So the one I looked up, I had heard something about this, and I did a little bit digging. But it's the massacre of Ramree Island. Um, the Japanese army versus an army of crocodiles.
What?
So yeah,
They fought crocodiles?
in a sense, so it's a story. The accuracy of it has been challenged, so let me throw that out front. But I'll go through it, and I watched a number of videos on this and read a couple things, different articles, and compiled the information as best I can. And I put a little chavets in there, little caveats for Julian.
Very
Um,
impressive.
yeah. All right. So this took place on the island of Ramree, which is off the coast of what was then Burma, but present day Myanmar. This was in January of 1945, so right in the middle of World War II. British-led forces started Operation Matador, with the goals of recapturing the island and establishing air bases. Right. So this is in the Pacific Theater. Um, So the Japanese held this small island, but it was viewed as a strategic point. So the British like bombed it with these. Dude, it's amazing how big the artillery shells that they're using. How heavy do you think these shells were that they're like just hitting the beach with?
Dude, they're
For
really big. They're like what, 40
Half a
pounds?
ton?
2,000 pounds.
Shut the fuck
Damn.
up.
Dude, what do you think the range of those shells are?
It can't be that much. Maybe a couple miles.
Yeah.
30 miles.
Shut the fuck up.
Insane, right?
It's like a nuke.
Holy
Right, yeah.
shit.
Oh, I mean, this would be maybe something for like another maybe for like dangerous weapons, but I forget what this thing was called. Like the like nails of like doom or something. I don't know, but like they drop essentially like huge tungsten, like there's like you put them in space and then you would just like drop them down and like due to the density and the sheer mass of it and the velocity that they
Oh,
would hit, yeah, it would like have like I forget how big of a impact zone, but like you would have zero radiation, so you don't have the fallout aspect of
yeah.
a devastating bomb.
That
But
just that made me think of like if it's falling from space and it's going into orbit and it's heating up as it's coming down, it's just sharpening into a shiv.
yeah, I mean, God, and we have a buddy who did his master's on reactive materials, and he was talking about stuff that as it hits, the impact becomes so much that it causes like a secondary explosion, and like that will melt through like the second part of the armor. Uh, Brad, of
Yeah,
course.
I figured.
That's-
That
for his
wasn't
math.
hard to guess.
Yeah. But anyways, back to the story. With all the bombing and shelling that they did, uh, the Allied forces were able to make their amphibious landing, and the fighting, as far as I could tell, ensued for anywhere from like 2 days to 2 weeks.
Okay.
Uh, right. But you have to keep in mind these were the Japanese forces who didn't have the same technology that like the American troops had, the British troops had, and they were on an island, so they're limited in how many resources they could bring in. So while they were surviving on this island, like they were hunting and trapping and eating all the fish and foods that they can. Um, and when they were getting invaded, obviously that like they were able to put a blockade around the island. It's like no new materials are coming in. So that plays into this later. Um, so yeah, they were eating all the local prey, which was essentially causing a chain reaction in the ecology there, right? All these
Okay.
huge saltwater crocodiles, which I don't know if you know how big those get. Those get like 20
Yeah.
to 30 feet.
Yeah.
Monster crocodiles were effectively starving, all right? And when you typically it's when they get cold, but crocodiles could go in a state called torpor, which is like a state of hibernation where they just kind of shut down. All right, there's no food or anything. We're gonna mellow out. Um, so you have all these starving crocodiles that have been starving for a while. They're just kind of like shut down. As the British forces are coming in, they're trying to flank the Japanese troops. Their only way of retreating was through a mangrove swamp.
Oh shit.
Are you guys familiar with like a swamps? Of course, right? We all have
Yeah.
seen Shrek, but a mangrove swamp is like I've seen like survivor shows. Like those are particularly hard because of all the tree roots. Like it's really really tough terrain to get through. Um, and it's estimated that 900 Japanese men went into the swamp. Okay. And again, this isn't Shrek Swamp where it's filled with all these like magical creatures. It's South Pacific. There's all sorts of
Magical
biting.
creatures.
Pinocchio doesn't live there?
Donkey.
Have you guys seen the clip of like I forget? It's like a parody, but it's like somebody trying to or like a what was the puppeteer's name? Geppetto.
Geppetto.
Yeah.
He's like trying to get Pinocchio to lie while he's bending
Yeah,
over.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. He's like bending over. He's like,
He's
I
like, "Did
want
you
you
take
to
the
lie
last
to me.
cookie?" Yeah, he's like, "Oh yeah, I took the." He's like, "You can lie about it. You could try to get away with it." But
That's
yeah,
my favorite clip.
obviously, but obviously, it's a swamp. All sorts of biting and stinging insects, venomous snakes, and of course, a huge colony of these saltwater crocodiles. Now,
Yum.
you can imagine after 2 weeks of fighting, war fighting, the people who were retreating weren't in the best of health,
Yeah.
right? So some of them were sick, wounded, dehydrated, all of the above. Um, and I think it was a 10-mile route to get out of this through like some of the hardest terrain you could go through. Now, of course, with anything you have anytime you have like a caravan of people, the stragglers always collect at the end. And at first, these are the first people getting picked off by these crocodiles. Right,
Okay.
guy just either maybe passing out in the water, opportune strike, but it's something. Now this is where the story gets a little contested because it seems that all the animals like got into like a feeding frenzy at some point. So maybe it was like the influx of activity going through the swamp, the people with all the wounds and stuff putting blood into the water, just the increased activity. But this is where, because some I've seen some herpetologists say that like, yeah, this probably wouldn't like this wouldn't happen the way they said it did. But these are the stories that were reported.
Did you say herpetologist?
That's people who study reptiles way.
No. I was thinking something completely different.
I say, I know you probably ran into a herpetologist.
So when a herpetologist is giving a lecture, are they herpaderping?
If I meet one, I'll let you know.
Yeah,
Um, so like I don't know, like I'm a huge fan of Jurassic Park, and like one thing is like when they're running through the tall grass, the dudes are just getting like sniped out of it, right? They're just like going down. So that's what they reported. Like the first incidents are like all these underwater ambush attacks. So dudes just getting pulled down. Uh, okay, Julian knows nothing about animals. Do you know what a death roll is?
Yes, I fucking do. Shut the
What
it's
is it?
like
fuck
when they
up.
line you up, right? When they line you up and just shoot you.
Well, yeah, sort of.
Well,
They just
well,
grab you and it's like roll underwater, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So you're thinking of
Oh,
like a firing squad.
Hey, fuck you.
Uh, no, yeah, death roll is like it's to like delimb somebody, right? Like
Yeah.
you grab the arm, you rotate it. So crocodiles and alligators will do it where they grab and they just do this really tight spiral just to
yeah,
rip
I've seen
people
videos of that. It's so crazy. I would not want to
off.
be in that.
So like imagine again you're going through a swamp where you can't really walk through, you can't swim through, you have all your gear, and the dude next to you just got taken under and you just he's thrashing, and then he comes back up without an arm, if he comes up at all. Right.
That's fucking wild.
Um so yeah, like they're death rolling these guys, taking them out. Again, very sick, very tired, dehydrated, low on supplies. And again, this is where it gets contested. That these dudes being low on supplies, like they were getting hungry themselves. So uh, some of the men were so tired that when the tide would go out, they'd be found in the mud, and they'd get marooned there. So like they're just knee deep in the mud. They don't have the strength to physically lift their legs out of it. So it's like ringing the dinner bell now. They're just standing there and seeing these crocodiles approach them and just get eaten while they're standing in the mud.
Yeah.
Uh, And there's even reports that when if they did establish a camp, like again, as like in a horror film, the people who were on the outside, like the crocodiles were getting so brazen that they're walking in, grabbing them and like dragging them out one by one.
But
So
that shit happens in like Africa and India a lot too. Like tigers and lions just to come into the village and just like eat people, just ravage the entire village.
yeah, I mean there's a whole. I was when I was researching this, I was like, we could probably do a few things on like the lines of I think it's Savo. That was like a thing where it's reported anywhere from like 100 to 200 people were killed by these two lions
Oh shit.
while they're building a railroad there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so people were terrified of these crocs like coming in grabbing them. So some of them started like, you know what? Like in Jurassic Park, I want to go high. I want to, the high hide, right? They started climbing these trees and like tying themselves up in there so they could get some sleep. Now, if you're up 20, 30 feet up in a tree, you're, essentially a piñata now for these for these crocodiles. Uh, but this is like to me, the scary part is like if you weren't able to get like 20 to 30 feet high, if you're below that, let's say like only 10 or 15 feet, you were still in the danger zone.
Oh shit.
Like they could like leap and like still grab you
Yeah.
at that
Yeah.
point. Um, and again, this is where I think some uh legend comes in to where they say the crocodiles either intentionally or just by the nature of it being a frenzy, their tails were hitting the tree and like rattling the people loose out of
Oh
it.
shit.
Oh my gosh.
that's what they're saying. Like, they're like some people thought it was like an intentional thing to where their tails like the crocodile's like, oh, if we hit this, it shakes the tree. So maybe it's a tactic. I didn't see anything to support that though, but they're saying like that's what was happening. Um, the British troops, there's accounts of them saying like, oh, we heard gunshots, grenades exploding, screams of men all through the night, and a hammering noise. But they didn't know what that hammering noise was. They later attribute to that to the tails just thumping against those tree trunks,
Okay.
trying to knock people loose.
That sounds fucking scary shit.
Yeah.
You don't mess with nature, and don't underestimate it either.
So yeah, again, these guys are up hiding in these trees. Imagine, they're not Tarzan. There's not enough vines to swing around and get out of there. Um,
Mango
so they had,
trees are not that tall, right? They're usually not that tall.
I don't think they're that tall, but it's also like their root network when the tide, because they're always in places that typically flood in and flood out with the tide. So their height could change. Your displacement from the bottom of the ground could change, the surface rather. Um, but these men up there who are again trying to take refuge from these alligators, crocodiles, uh, very limited escape opportunities, and this again where some legend, where some rumor comes in that even some of them started taking to cannibalism to stay alive.
The crocodiles or the men?
The men,
Oh shit.
like
I'm surprised the crocodiles didn't resort to cannibalism.
Yeah, me too. Honestly, I've seen some crocodiles like chomp off each other's feet.
I think it's one
Yeah.
of those things like once you get to a certain size, it's like it's too dangerous. But I think there's
Yeah.
always. I mean, I used to watch. There's a show called, what was it called? Swamp People, where like they like go hunt alligators. Um, like the one Julian has standing behind him, little land shark there.
Dude, she's an asshole. The other day, a friend came over to visit, and she went up to him, like said hi, like put her hand so she could pet her. And as soon as he went to go pet her, she bit her his hand. I was like, what the fuck, Nala? Like you're being so nice.
I
Did
am
she?
not petting your dog.
I was saying,
No,
did she
she's
do
an
it like
asshole.
in a playful like nip, or is it like a
No,
bite?
no, no. She went for a bite.
Dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, dude. That's why I tell people when they come, is like keep your hands up because now I'll fucking jump on them.
That's
Like
funny.
this?
Yeah,
You
just go like that.
want to
Stomp
go?
on it.
So the British forces, the Allied forces, like they were like feeling bad for these dudes, and part of it I think was just a tactic, like surrender. Of course, any battle you want it to come to an end.
Yeah.
But apparently they were using loudspeakers and telling the Japanese troops, "If you come out, we will help you. Surrender and live. We will help you." I think that's kind of hard for two things. One, if they were stranded up in a tree, they needed to be rescued, not just have a place to be rescued, like
Yeah.
retreat to get rescued, right? So I think that's
Yeah.
part of it. And then I think it's also part of the folklore of the Japanese troop, especially in this day and age, to where surrendering was considered very dishonorable.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You
Don't
know,
go
so
home if you surrender. It's
yeah.
better if
So
you're dead.
I think it's one of those things like, yeah, they're saying like, oh yeah, we tried helping them and like giving them this out, but it's like a lot of the men wouldn't accept that. You know, it's totally against like the warrior tradition of the warrior class that they have.
Yeah.
Uh, so though it was an option, it probably wasn't really feasible for them to surrender just due to the terrain, and again, having to get by all these super dangerous saltwater crocs. Now, do you guys remember how many people I said they estimate went into the
900.
900? So it's estimated that only about half of them made it out.
Half and three
There's a
quarters.
bunch of
Some.
fat. There's a lot of fat crocodiles in there right now.
Well, yeah. So reports like some people say like all 900 died because only 20 of the men were captured, but there was later a report of a bunch of the men were actually rescued by other Japanese troops. But the Guinness Book of World Records deemed this as the deadliest crocodile attack in history. Um, kind of on the ecological sad side of this is like due to unregulated hunting of crocodiles in this area in the 1960s, it has left the colony of saltwater crocs in this area nearly extinct now. So, and the first place I heard about this was from a guy named Forrest Gallant who does like a lot of like cryptozoology and like goes after like thought to be extinct creatures. And he tells a story to where him and his film crew went to Ramree, and a lot of these shows they stage it, and like they had put like a World War II era gun, they kind of hid it around a bush, or so they told the other hosts that didn't see where they put it, like, hey man, just kind of walk around, make some observations, go look behind here, right? See if you can find what we hid for you. The guy walked right past the gun. Um, he sees like a mud basin, so he kind of takes a knee, starts filling within the mud, the murky water, and he pulls out a human skull.
Oh shit.
Oh.
Yeah, and he's like, "Is this what you guys wanted me to
Oh
find
my
here?"
god. Nope.
Ugh. It's was that just someone by chance, or was it potentially one of these Japanese troops that fell victim during that time? And I believe they said there was like a puncture wound into the skull of
Oh shit.
the bone. So, yeah, the massacre of Ramree Island, where allegedly 400 to 500 men were killed by saltwater crocodiles.
That's
They
wild.
must have tasted really good. Like one giant bonito flake.
One giant
See,
what?
Bonito flake.
I mean,
Bonito is like when you dry and salt Japanese fish and then you slice it into like these little thin slices and then they're like flaky and then you put it on top of food like soup or something. So it gives it like a smoky fishy flavor.
I disagree. Bonito is how I would say good.
It's not even close.
Right?
Bonito means pretty in Spanish.
Well, pretty good, right? Que es bonito, right? It's good. Like,
No.
yeah. So, yeah, that was the story. In covering this, there's a couple other stories I think might be interesting to look into, but yeah, what are your thoughts, Julian?
Yeah, that's fucking wild. 400 or 500 people died. And dude, could you imagine just being there? Let's say you're stranded there for 3, 4, 5 days, no sleep, fucking on fight or flight mode the entire time. Dude, that must have been exhausting for them.
And these were armed soldiers too, right?
Yeah, but
Like
like what kind? They didn't have like AK-47s.
they had they had machine guns, like they had
Yeah.
grenade, like they had weaponry, right? Uh, so I guess what I'm saying is like it wasn't just like a school bus of children who had to like march out of a field trip from hell or something,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah, but still, like, you being in war, like, yeah, you know what to expect, you know what possible traps could be set, but just an unknown enemy just taking you down, that's the wild part.
yeah. Again, that Forrest Gallant guy, he said with like another time he was there, like they had a speedboat and they're just going, and like some kid had been taken by a saltwater croc, and he managed like to fight away. They think they saved the kid's life, but he says like he thinks those crocs, since they're so big, that like they're willing to hunt humans. Like they'll sit there on the beach and just watch the people go and get their water or wash their clothes for weeks,
Yeah.
and like plot and be like, okay, how can I sneak up there and just like grab that person when he goes to grab that next bucket of water or something.
I mean, those big juicy white legs. Mm.
I mean, it's the South Pacific. I don't know how many white legs there are running around.
Oh my
So,
god.
yeah,
On a different note, there's a video I saw of someone whose house flooded in Florida after the hurricane, and they opened up the door to their garage, and this giant crocodile just sitting in the garage. Just like, what the fuck?
dude, all these weather events are pretty like
Hey,
devastating.
real on the conspiracy on that one, aren't you?
Well, yes and no. Like there is a lot going on right now.
Yeah,
Uh,
the way I see it though is the government may have the possibility to do this, but I don't think they're organized enough to do it. Maybe private companies
They're
are.
not. They're not.
yeah,
Yeah.
the messed up part, I think. I mean, this is like a whole other video though. Is the lack of support the American people are getting from,
Yeah.
That's because of
considering.
how unorganized the government is
Exactly.
and defunded too.
Well,
I
they're not
mean,
defunded. It's just going somewhere else.
I also wonder, like, dude, uh, how much money is being like spent on the appliances and stuff that people are gonna have to do, like, to get their houses back in living? Because I saw like after well, Milton was the first one, right?
Second one. Helene was the first one.
Helene, okay. Like people are already like gutting their houses of all the stuff they had bought from that. And, like I'm like, dude, washing machine after washing machine, like, can't we waterproof those circuit boards?
Yeah, it's true.
You know, like
Yeah.
that thing's designed like there shouldn't be anything in there that we should be able to design those things to be better. But I'm just like, what's happening with all that waste,
In the
all that
landfill.
all that
Going to the
scrap?
landfill.
Yeah,
Shit.
uh, just the lack of upcycling and replaceability of modern appliances,
Yeah.
right?
And it's
Uh,
still the benefit of the company that's making the appliances anyway. Like, oh, all these the houses are no longer having washing machines or dryers, whatever it is, they have to buy new ones now. Even if it's the insurance that covers for it, like they're still making money off of it.
like my brother, he lives in Texas and he has like an old construction house, and he put a new AC unit, and he asked the guy like, "Oh, am I gonna have to redo my copper lines inside?" He's like, "No, dude, your copper lines are so much thicker that even if they've lost a little, like they're probably like twice as thick as what the new lines I'd install."
Yeah.
So it's just like we're so used to building with inferior equipment. So like rather than like make America great again, like can we make two by fours again?
You mean you don't want furniture that's made out of sawdust that's glued together with Elmer's glue?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
true. Two by fours are not two by fours anymore.
I remember when I didn't learn that until maybe like 6 years ago or something, and I was like,
Yeah.
"What the really?" Like,
You measure it out. Actually, go and measure it
yeah,
out. Yeah.
but they used to be like 80 years ago. A two by four was a two by four.
Yeah.
Now it's just called a 2x4.
Yeah,
It's just in the name now.
I mean, maybe we should apply those measuring metrics across.
Hey, it's close enough. It's close
Yeah.
enough. I apply it. I'm 6 foot.
All right, guys. With that, we'll cut this one off, and uh, yeah, like and subscribe, of course, and I guess we'll see you guys around.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Like, subscribe, and share this with your friends. Try to put it on there.
Great story, Hempy. I can't wait to tell my mom about it. She's terrified of crocodiles. See you guys later.